This is a Dalarna University production.
Welcome to the 9th lesson, or the 9th grammar lesson of Arabic 1. Today we're going to continue to talk about verbs in the past tense, how to negate the past tense, and also verbal agreement. When using verbs in Arabic, they are usually added right at the beginning of a sentence, and then you add the doer or the performer. In grammatical terms, the subject, and then last the object, the thing that the verb is happening to. Now, since we learned last time that the verbs are showing who is doing them with this little extra suffix added at the end, if we say dhahabtu, we know it's I who went. If we say dhahaba, we know that it's he who went, etc. It's unnecessary to add personal pronouns. However, it's not wrong to add them. So if we say ana dhahabtu or dhahabtu are both right. In Arabic, the verbs are always conjugated depending on who is doing them, except in two cases, and that's when the subject of the person who is performing the verb is a group of men and women, and they are mentioned, for example, the teachers, the engineers, etc., and the verb come before the group of performers or doers of this verb. In those cases, we don't have to conjugate with the verb in the plural form, but it can stay in the singular. If it's a group of men, it stays in the normal male singular third person, and if it's a group of women, it stays in the third person feminine form. Mixed groups are treated as male. Last week we looked at the singular forms. Today we're going to look at the plural forms of the past tense. They're built on the same thing, the third person masculine third person masculine singular form, and they have different suffixes that we're going to see now. So for we studied, we used darasa, the third person masculine form, and then we add nun alif at the end, so it becomes darasna. You masculine plural studied becomes darastum. You feminine plural darastunna. They masculine studied darasu, and they feminine darasna. There's a small change in the pronunciation of we studied and they studied in Arabic. We've got some more examples. ذهبنا إلى السوق. We went to the market. كتبتم الكتابة. You wrote a book. You wrote the book. أكلتن السمكة. You, feminine plural, ate the fish. رجعوا من المدرسة. They, masculine, came back from school. شربنا الشاي. They, feminine, drank the tea. More examples. كتبت الكتابة. I wrote the book. شربت القهوة. You drank the coffee. جلست في غرفة الجلوس. You sat in the sitting room. فهم الطلاب الدرس. The students, masculine, understood the lesson. درست الطالبات الكتابة. The students, feminine, studied the book. ذهبوا إلى المكتب. خرجنا من المدرسة. If you have a look at the last four sentences here, we have فهم الطلاب and درست الطالبات. Both طلاب and طالبات are in the plural form, plural masculine and plural feminine, but the verbs are in the singular forms, since the verb come before the doer or the subject, and the subject, the doer, the students in this case, are mentioned. if we look at the last two sentences, there is no specified doer. We don't know who they were, right? And because of that, we need to conjugate the verb, because if we here said just ذهب إلى المكتب, we would assume that it was he that went. So because we don't have a subject mentioned, we need to conjugate the verb to know who's doing it. So ذهبوا إلى المكتب وخرجنا من المدرسة. They went and they left or went out. Right, and that's what we just talked about. Now, if you look at the last sentence here, that's blue and red at the bottom, we have ذهبت الممرضات إلى المكتب وشربنا القهوة. Right? If you look at the first verb, it's in the singular form because it comes before the person's performing it. It comes before the nurses. However, the second verb, to drink, comes after the nurses, so we know it's plural and we know who's doing it, and because of that, it has to be conjugated in the plural form. شربنا. ذهبت, before the doer, شربنا, after. There are many ways to negate words or sentences in Arabic. One of the easiest ones is to use ma to negate the past tense. Nothing changes to the verb, or nothing happens to the verb when we use this little particle. So if we say كتبت رسالة, I wrote a letter, to negate that we just say ما كتبت الرسالة, I didn't write the letter. درس الطالب, the student studied. ما درس الطالب, the student didn't study.